come. Good girl. Hi guys, I've always wanted to do a video on flight training, but I never really got around to it. So I'm about to take Smokey out to my living room to kind of exercise her and fly her around. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for me to kind of, while I'm doing that, to talk to you about some of the important aspects of flight training a bird, especially a bird that wasn't fledged and a bird that was kind of an older flyer. So let's take her outside and let's get started. Smokey, come. Good girl. Smokey, perch. Good. Smokey, come. Good girl. Alright guys, so I know there's a lot of videos on YouTube where people free fly the birds outside, and truly, in my opinion, those are just inspirational, and I'd love to do that one day. But with Smokey, I just don't feel confident letting her fly outside, just because I feel like she's a poor candidate for free flight. She's not a really colorful bird, so if she were to get lost, she'd be really hard to locate. African greys also aren't very loud birds, so it's also, when she does get lost, it's going to be really hard to find her, because she isn't as loud as some of the large macaws. Smokey, come. Also, good girl, because African greys look a lot like pigeons, birds of prey are going to kind of single them out, thinking that it's an easy target. And because of that, they're going to go right after her. Now, I do think, however, because a lot of people think, well, having a flighted bird is really risky, and it's irresponsible to have a bird that's flighted in the home. I'd actually think the opposite. Having a flighted bird, Smokey, come. Smokes, come. Good girl. Having a flighted bird, in my opinion, is actually a lot safer, and it's a lot healthier for the bird than having a bird that's clipped. And initially, any bird that just learns how to fly is going to make mistakes. I mean, they're going to have crash landings. And sometimes those crash landings aren't going to be really, I guess, for the owner, really easy to see. But in nature, baby birds that when they first learn how to fly, they're also going to have crash landings, a lot of crash landings, before they perfect flight. So what I do with Smokey is I train her to fly indoors. And when I first started, we just began with really short recall, like what you guys see here. This is about 1.5 to 2 feet of distance between a perch and me. So just really, really short distances, and we gradually increase that distance over time. Smokey, come. Good girl. And when they become more and more skilled, and they perfect just this basic flying back and forth, we then mess with the distance, but we also then add the factor of height. We train the bird to fly up. Good girl. And the reason why most birds are lost when they are taken outside is not because the bird wants to get away, but they don't know how to fly down. So one really important skill that they need to develop indoors is how to fly down. Smokey, perch, perch. And again, you can gradually increase the angle at which the bird flies, either up or down. But I just kind of want to reiterate, Smokey, come. What I just previously said, and that is most birds that are lost outdoors are lost not because the bird wants to fly away from the owner, but they're lost because when a bird is taken outside and they've never flown before, and this is the part, guys, where I think it's so sad, where new owners make this mistake. They get a bird, and eventually they feel kind of sad for the bird that the bird is not able to fly. So they take the bird and throw him outside and then release him into the wild. Well, when a bird that's never flown before first takes off, they're going to freak out. Because, I mean, if you just suddenly grew wings and you were taken outside and you flew for the first time, sure, it's a really thrilling experience. But the first experience is going to be really scary. And because of that, the bird's going to freak out. And when they do, prey animals like birds, when they freak out, their instincts tell them to flap hard and flap really fast. So before you know it, they're going to be long gone. Once the bird masters that, we can then teach them to fly and maneuver around corners and how to land on different landing spots. Because if you take your bird, or if your bird accidentally flies outside, we want them to be able to locate landing spots that are nearby. Because if they're able to land in a nearby tree, we can more easily recover them. Smokey, come. Come. Good girl. So when she's flying indoors, I teach her and I target her to land on different surfaces. Smokey, let's land over here. Perch. Go. Good girl. Smokey, come. Good girl. Ready? Go. Good girl. Good bird, Smokes. Come. Good. You ready? Go. Good girl. Good bird, Smokes. Come. Good. You ready? Go. Good girl, Smokes. Here's a banana. Perch. Good. So another really important aspect of flight training is whenever you guys see me cueing Smokey to fly, I never launch her off my hand. I never take her and I throw her. That's really important because we want to make flight a really positive experience for our birds. I'm sure most of you, when if you're just getting into flight training, you're probably doing it because you want to improve your bird's quality of life. Well, if you want to do that, you got to make sure that the bird actually enjoys the process of learning how to fly. So when you're taking your bird and you're just throwing your bird off without your bird wanting to fly, it might end up in a crash landing. And when it does, that becomes a really negative experience for the bird. So the next time you ask them to fly, they're going to remember that, hey, the last time I flew, I ended up crashing. So in flight training, it's important that we try to motivate our birds to want to do what we want them to do. And Smokey, come. I use various treats to motivate her. Sometimes treats don't even motivate her because sometimes she would rather get head scratches. So you gotta know what motivates your bird. And I use a mixture of different kinds of reinforcements. Treats are just one of them. But I always cue her to go. And if she doesn't go, if your bird isn't flying when you're asking them to, there could be a number of different reasons why they don't want to fly. The biggest reason for birds not wanting to first take that leap of faith is because the majority of birds who were previously clipped, and usually these are more adult birds, they had a bad experience with using their wings. Most birds who were previously clipped, whenever they tried to fly, it always resulted with them crashing to the floor. So you got to be understanding of that aspect, that if your bird was clipped for a really long time, they're not going to want to fly. So you got to build up the confidence slowly. Another reason why your birds might be reluctant to fly, and this happens with Smokey periodically, is if she's going through a molt and she's growing new flight feathers in, she's really reluctant to fly during those times. So during those times, I'll kind of think to myself, wait a second, she's behaving really differently and unusual today, and it seems like she's totally unmotivated. And then I'll check her wings and I'll see that, like several different flight feathers are growing in. Now, another reason why your bird might be really reluctant to fly is that in nature, they program the birds to know that, hey, if there's a predator, especially if it's an aerial predator like a hawk or a falcon in the sky, the bird probably shouldn't take off and they should just try to hide where they can. So if something is spooking the bird, and remember, your bird's eyes are a lot better than your own. So when I'm flying Smokey and she seems really alert, and she seems like, there's something out there, I just kind of trust her with that, and I don't launch her off and I don't throw her off, because that's a natural defensive behavior that the bird was programmed to kind of do. Come. Good. You ready? Go. Good girl. Good bird, Smokes. Now, during these training sessions with Smokey, when they ask her to fly around, I also like to mix in, just some behaviors that she already knows. This reinforces, things that she already learned, but at the same time, it keeps this training session interesting because I don't want her to just think, all right, the whole point of this training session is to fly around. That's not it. I want her to pay really close attention to the cues that I'm giving her, and just mixing in some of the tricks that she's already learned. It makes all of this much more interesting, not only for the bird, but also for me as well. So, Smokey, wait. Good, turn around. Good girl, come here. Good bird. Go back to perch. There you go. Smokey, come. Good, Smokey. Can you do a kitty cat? Good. Can you bark? Can you chirp? Good. Smokey, what do you like to do? Good bird. Smokey, chew. Thank you. Smokey, come, perch. Good. Smokey, wave. 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 Good bird. Good bird, Smokey. Alright guys, so one of the things that I also love about flight training is that despite what you guys see in some of these videos, Smokey actually only gets along with me really well. If anybody else tries to come up and do what I do to her, they would lose a finger. So one of the things that I really like about flight training is that I could signal the bird to fly to somebody else's arm. And by doing that, I minimize the risk of that person being bitten because the bird is choosing, by choice, to fly to that person. Alright guys, so I hope this video inspired you and maybe it helped to kind of maybe answer some of the questions that you guys have about flight training. I also want to, at this point, add a little disclaimer, and that is, I don't want you guys to think that, just because of this video, you can take your bird outdoors and just let them go free. Now, if you take your bird outdoors and try to free fly them outdoors, I promise you will lose your bird. I know there are people that are doing that on YouTube, but you know what? They specifically have researched and they know what they're doing. So, outdoor free flight training is a whole different world of its own. So don't just think that because of this video, you can just take your bird outside and free fly them. Because I don't want you to lose your bird. But I hope, again, like I said, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys click the like button below. If you guys want to see more videos like this, click the subscribe button and I'll try to upload more when I have time and when I feel inspired to do so. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the day.